Hi everyone, I'm Winnie Lai Fong. Please join me right now in welcoming Hellen Yang to our virtual stage. Hellen is a wealth consultant and professional certified coach who has a special focus on financial wellness and leadership development. Hellen helps people to confidently navigate their life, career, and finances through a practical and emotionally intelligent approach. Very excited to have you here, Hellen, with us today, and over to you.
Thanks, Winnie, and thanks everyone for joining in. Just want to take a breath and feel the space with all of you right now. And I want to start by acknowledging to all of you that we all have a choice. We have a choice to declare that 2021 is going to be the best year of your life, and you're going to create a space that is healthy for you and the lives around you. Or you can start the year in fear and say, what if it's another 2020? What if I never have the space that I want? Well, the good news is that all of you are here. It means that you're open to the possibility that this could be the best year of your life, and then you will create the most meaningful space for you and the lives around you. So, are you ready? Let's dive in. So the purpose of today's experience is really to help you gain a better sense of direction on creating a space that is meaningful to you, and identify how your habits align or misaligned with your space. And we're going to learn some ways that you can shape and build the new habits to honor the space while staying on purpose. All right, so you're in the right workshop, right? All right, let's move on to the next slide. So I would like to establish some very important agreements for us to hold safe and a respectful space to honor our shared responsibility in this collective learning environment. And we are here. I want to say we're here to hold space for each other. So let's be authentic. Show up as yourself. Make authentic expression on what you need to say, or you speak or don't speak if you don't need to say anything. And in this case, you'll notice you're all being muted. So we're going to encourage you to use the chat box, as well as feel free to take your personal notepad, because if you feel more comfortable, just note things or reflect on the questions later on your own, and that's okay too. All right. And to respect our differences and each other, zero judgment. Respect all emotions, feelings, life choices, both positive and the negative. And to trust yourself. Both, again, the emotions that you're going through, both positive and the negative, are important. They're just information, the data, So trust that you can always begin again from where you are and then move towards to where you want to be. And lastly, confidentiality. Personal identity and the stories belong to individual. So sharing the stories takes tremendous vulnerability and courage. Please respect each other's privacy and ask for permission if you're inspired to share their stories outside of this workshop. And you're more than welcome to share your own learnings to your world. As your facilitator, you have my permission to share my personal stories that's shared in this space. Okay, can we just have a quick emoji, or before that emoji or smiley face as a way of acknowledging that you agree, the 4 agreements? Yeah, great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so imagine a space, and let's begin by connecting with ourselves and the space we want to create through a short meditation. Tanya has already led us into a very present space. And in this space, I want to invite you to really connect with the space you want to create. Okay? And then notice what takes you space or gives you space. So let's sit comfortably with your spine straight and relaxed, your head straight, chest open, your feet flat on the floor. And whenever you're ready, close your eyes. Now, take a few deep breaths. really drop your attention from your mind to your body. And notice your internal landscape. Notice the space between your chest and the back. See if you can expand that space by 2%. And notice the space in your heart, lung, and all the organs. Notice the space between your bones and your clothes. Now gently place one hand on your heart, another hand on your stomach. And notice the rising and the falling sensation of your chest and your abdomen. Let your heart, your gut, and your body to inform you. What is important to you? Who do you love? And what is the space you want to create? Simply notice if there's any images, sensations, temperature, movements, or colors that are showing up. If you get interrupted by a thought, just let it go and allow yourself to begin again. Begin again from a place that matters most to you. Continue to take a breath. We're going to come back in a few seconds. So allow yourself to take another deep breath and expand the space inside of you by another 2%. And as you're coming back, just relax your shoulder, loosen your jaw a little bit, soften your eyes, and stretch your lips with a big smile as you open your eyes. And thank you for co-creating the space together. I'm curious to hear what was showing up for you and the space you're creating. Please use the chat box to or write it down on your notepad. Anything you notice. It could be a cooler or hotter energy, temperature, color, image. Let's see what's showing up in your space. Thank you, Jen. I see feeling more centered. It's a little cold. Dark blue mountains. Yes. Salty air, light breeze. Wow. Ocean smell. Interior design in my house. Beautiful. More present. That's great. Thank you for sharing. Yes, more relaxed. Isn't that a great feeling when you're more relaxed? All right. So moving on to the next slide. I want to say, you might think it's not fair to ask you to share your space and I'm not sharing mine. So here we go. This is a space I created for myself. I value play, nature, and spending quality time with my friends and family. So having this image really helps me to stay connected and grounded with what matters most to me. The little Simba there, if you can spot him, he was a character that has been showing up in my visualization over and over again until I discovered that he is my inner leader. He taught me to release my inner shield, to really allow myself to dream big, to play, and to make a mess. And always remember to see the world from the place of love, through the lens of curiosity and the possibility. So during my space creation journey, I created space for self-acceptance, setting respectful boundaries, and being choiceful. A very fulfilling and a rewarding journey. But I can tell you that It's not all roses and unicorns. So what has helped me get to where I am today is really about being consistent and a practice on noticing and creating useful habits and a mindset. And that brings us to habits. What is habit? As per Oxford Learner's Dictionary, habit is a thing that you do often and almost without thinking, especially something that is hard to stop doing. And how are habits developed then? Well, according to my studies in somatic coaching at the Strozzi Institute, we often hear that we are what we eat. Well, guess what? We are what we practice. And we generally shaped by 3 practices. One is inherited practices or habits through our families, community, and social system. And another one is a learned habits, such as riding a bike or how to greet a new person, or things that you learn from school or textbooks. And the last one is quite fascinating. It's a habits or practices that's driven out of safety and survival in order to protect or in service of the safety, belonging, and the dignity. So I was born and raised in China. I inherited a habit of shrinking my physical self and the mental space by feeling shame of being short. You can't really see my height via Zoom, but I am tiny, I'm 5 foot tall. I used to hate my height. And watching all of my close friends were hired for sales associate job in a fashion store, while I didn't fit the qualification because I was too short. I hated being called shorty. I never liked wearing high heels, but I forced myself to. I used to dream about getting even a bone extension surgery. And to some extent, I even started to wish that I had taller parents. And a little did I know, I started to form a habit of shrinking myself and staying small. Not just from my embodied patterns, I noticed I start to mute myself often and I never speak up, even when I knew my boundary has been violated. Then it got worse. I became people pleaser and let others walk over me. And that was driven out of safety and survival because I wanted to fit in. I wanted the people to like me. And that space was very unhealthy for me. But I never questioned it because it felt normal. And all other short girls were being treated the same. I want to take a pause of my story here and I invite you to reflect on what are some inherited, learned, or driven out of safety and survival habits that you think you might have developed over time that are either giving or taking the space you want to create. Feel free to use a chat box or your own notepad. Thank you. I see being organized, being polite to your fault. Yes, working out for health and mental well-being. Don't dream too big. Yeah, stay small. It's safe when you just stay small. And being stoic and a people pleaser. I hear you. Appreciate yourself. Absolutely. Fitting in. Thank you. And just keep noticing. I love this one. Saying yes to everything. Oh boy, am I a yes girl? Yes, all of this, all of this. This is a great, and this is the first step of noticing, becoming aware of what are some of your default habits that's either inherited, learned, or driven out of safety and survival. So let's move on to the next piece. Now that we have identified our habits and how habits are shaped, let's take a deeper look on what's underneath there. I like to go deep. So what comes before habits then? time to put your curious glasses on. So it's a mindset. According to Mary Lee Adams, author of Change Your Questions, Change Your Life, Mary Lee Adams points out that we have both judger and the learner's mindsets, and that we have the power to choose where we operate them from. So let's take a deeper look on if any of the judge's mindsets sounds familiar. So we're moving to zoom into the next slide. Yeah, let's see. Judge's mindset is all about the judgmental of self and others, being reactive, automatic. It's all about blame, know it all, either or. And it listens for differences, right or wrong, agree or disagree. It wonders or has the attitude of why bother, right? With the primary mood of protective, perhaps defensive. So quick reflection on us. I wonder, how often does your judge's mindset or voices showing up? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very often, almost like every other second, and 1 being the opposite. Feel free to use the chat box again. Give yourself a self-assessment. Scale 1 to 10, how often does the judge's mindset show up in your world? 7, 8, so a higher end, yes, 9. And notice every number means different things for each one of you. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, and I see some smaller number too. That's great. Good notice. Doesn't matter how I wouldn't know. This is where you notice where you are right now. And that is a great step. All right. So let's switch mindset and take a look. What are some qualities of learner's mindset look like? Well, learner's mindset is about accepting of self and others. It's about being responsive and thoughtful. It's about taking responsibilities and the values of not knowing. It's really okay to not know. And it has the thinking of both and or yes and. It listens for commonalities, facts, understanding. It wonders what's possible with its primary mood of curious. So back to you. How would you rate your assessment on the learner's mindset showing up in your world? Once again, on a scale 1 to 10, 10 being the learner's mindset is always there, always present with you. And 1 is the opposite. Self-assessment. And then we can move to the next slide while waiting for the numbers. That's great. Just notice the number. And then notice the emotion, or if there's any judgment, or if there's a space start to create for you. Because curiosity is the antidote for judgment. So I want you to notice if at any moment that you feel contracted, there's a contraction in your chest, tightening on your throat, or your jaw start to lock in, notice the space your body is kind of informing of you. And then when you notice you start to judge yourself, use this antidote. Use curiosity. Invite your inner child out and take a look at the situation, take a look at your world through the eyes of curiosity. Because curiosity, once again, is the antidote for judgment. Okay, so let's wear that curiosity eyes and hat. Moving on to the next piece. Where do we begin? We're gonna pause that slide for a second. If we can go back to the curious piece. Yeah, so I wanted to continue to share my story for a little bit. So to continue my story of hating myself in short, I was completely hijacked by judge's mindset, where not only I let others to judge me, but I also blame my parents for being short. And I was only focused and looking through the lens of, looking for the differences, the right or wrong. And that was a very toxic domino effect. I went from not accepting my height to not accepting my accent, to not accepting that I can add value to others. And as a result, I easily get intimidated and I'm nervous when walking into any meetings, especially when there are individuals in the meeting that are physically taller or bigger than me, and those that's perceived with more knowledge, experiences, or authority. I just know that I shrink myself. So the story I continued to tell myself was, I'll never have the space to express myself unless I'm taller, bigger, louder, or maybe becoming a manager. Very much a judger and a fixed mindset with lots of conditioned happiness. And I consistently felt the contractions in my chest, muscles, skin, organs, eyes, and a breathing pattern. Little answered with a lot of questions brought me to a conversation with a dear friend a few years ago, who invited me to see everything as teachers and look at the world through a lens of curiosity. Not gonna say this is easy, but I learned that I always have a choice. I have a choice to do something about it, and not choosing is a choice too. So slowly I learned to love myself just a little bit more each day and accept myself fully. And that means accept all of me, all the good, bad, and ugly side of me. I started to accept my height, my accent. I accept what I know as well as what I don't know. I use yes and in conversations whenever people say, Helen, you're so short. And I say back to them, yes, I am short. And I love it because I always get plenty leg room on the airplane. And if sky falls down, it'll hit you first. I even notice my playfulness start to come back. So now let's pause and reflect on what kind of mindset are currently taking up your space and what new mindsets you'd like to try on to create a space for you. Feel free to share in the chat box. What are some old mindsets you want to say no to, or new mindsets you want to say yes to? Thanks, Liz, for the giggle. And if you're not comfortable using the chat box, feel free to use your own notepad. It might be helpful just to jot down what are you saying yes or no to the mindset to support the space that you want to create. Thank you, Prachi. Yes, all come in the small packages. I'm just going to read out a few. So I've been reminded this week that expectations can be a burden, and I'm looking forward to relearning, to reclaim that space. That's great. And as Cindy says, I notice I have more of the judging mindset when it comes to self, and the learner's mindset when it's thinking of others. Great notice. Yes. I'm just gonna read one more. So Kathleen says, current mindset of being in fear of unknown, and a new mindset I would like to say yes to is a faith that everything will work out the way it is meant to be, and just let go. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your mindset and learning and coming in here. Okay, I can't help but to say, CN says a mindset of acceptance and curiosity. Great. Remember, curiosity is the antidote for judgment. All right. Okay, let's moving on. We're going to work backwards a little bit. So we went from identifying the habits that's holding you back, then the mindset that dictates your habit. So have you ever wondered what controls your mind? Well, according to psychologist Jonathan Haidt, we humans are always engaging in both left and the right brains. And in this image that you see, the elephant represents our right brain, which is all about being emotional, automatic, irrational. And the rider who's riding on top of the elephant is representing the left brain. And it's all about analytical, control, and the rational side of us. And human beings are really driven by values, morality, emotions, and unconscious biases. When we make decisions or do things, we use logic and a rationality to explain or justify the emotional decisions that we already made. Our logical brain, the writer, justifies what our emotions and our unconscious brain, the elephant, did without thinking. So according to the model here, the writer is rational and is able to plan ahead, while the elephant is irrational and driven by emotion and instinct. So we have to find the balance between the two. Now, question to you. At the end of the day, who do you think is really in control of those two creatures? The elephant or the rider? Let's just play for a little bit. Use the chat box and see who you vote. Who's really in control at the end of the day, in your opinion? Elephant, elephant, elephant. What about the rider? Both. Okay. Any more? Both. I see almost even. Elephant with both. Well, the truth is, I mean, by size, the elephant is bigger. And technically, I mean, in our brain, the emotional brain is the reptilian brain, which by size, again, it is bigger. So just imagine times when you're tired, when your cognitive resources kind of low or drained, the emotional brain might throw a tantrum and become, I don't know, a couch potato or start to acting up. So just, it is about finding the balance. And I want to say what I learned so far is it's not about agree or disagree, like having agreement or disagreement. Is about finding that bigger alignment, the value alignment. What is it that both, the rider and elephant want in a bigger bubble of alignment? And then from that place, it'll help them to work together. But today's session, we won't go in deeper on that. We can maybe go offline, have a deeper chat if you're interested. So let's move on. Now that we know how our brain works, I'd like to introduce the 4 laws of creating healthy habits. According to James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, habits are a double-edged sword. They can work for you or against you, which is why understanding the details are essential. So whatever you want to create, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. So let's start with make it obvious. The process of behavior change always starts with awareness. And you need to be aware of your habits before you can change them. So for example, I notice I tend to shrink myself and feel the contraction in my chest when meeting people who are either physically bigger than me or have a higher authority. So my strategy is to notice the contraction in my chest and my breathing pattern first. Then I take a deep breath, open my chest, widen my shoulder, just 5% more. And I also form an imagery of that I'm a huge sunflower. And that just really helps me to enlarge my inner capacity and make it very obvious for me to work towards. And that's going on to the next, it's make it attractive. So the second point, the more attractive an opportunity is, the more likely it is to become habit forming. For instance, I surround myself with friends who are taller than me and adore me at the same time. So with such a love and compassion, it really allows me to practice being more relaxed and confident in intimidating environment. Yeah, I do have quite a few taller friends. And third one, so make it easy. Human behavior follows the law of least effort. We will naturally gravitate toward the option that requires at least the least amount of work. So I know I tend to get nervous, become silent, and shrink myself when meeting unfamiliar group of people or those with a higher power with authority. And to make it easy, I leverage a learner's mindset by focusing on our commonalities. And then the biggest commonalities we share is we're all human. And the thought of that, like the thought of we're just having a human to human conversation really helps me to feel more relaxed and confident by going into those meetings. And then that becomes a doorway for me to make more meaningful connection with others. And that's my secret for today too, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, I have all of you. It's a huge group. So then I just told myself, it's just one human being to the other human being. We're just connecting in this virtual space and sharing our stories and to help each other like inspire and to add values to each other's lives. So that made me feel more relaxed and at ease when coming into this space with all of you. All right, moving to the next part is let's make it satisfying. That's the fourth law. We are more likely to repeat a behavior when the experience is satisfying. To me, taking a deep breath and having my arms wide open are very satisfying, believe it or not. It makes me feel very relaxed, powerful, and almost like a Wonder Woman. I feel like I can fly like right now. So, and I also activate my voice to support the expansive embodiment that I developed for myself. And I want to say that by doing so, I have developed a morning ritual by declaring my life purpose out loud on who I am and the impact I want to make in my world. Here's a quick tip. If you happen to speak more than one language, it would help you, like I think it helps you to deepen your connection when you say it in your mother tongue. So my mother tongue is Mandarin. And I'm going to just share with you, this is how my purpose statement looks and sounds like as a way I make myself feel more satisfying every morning. 我是一颗充满无限阳光的向日葵，我为万事万物带来温暖、希望和勇气。I am the huge, vibrant sunflower. I bring love, hope, and courage in everything and everyone. I feel very satisfied right now. Thank you for holding the space for me. So, moving on to the next slide, I want to highlight that if you want to break a bad habit, do the exact opposite. Make it invisible, make it unattractive, make it difficult, and make it unsatisfying. That's it, So back to you. Take a moment and share in the chat box or write on your own notepad. How will you incorporate the 4 laws of building healthy habits to create space for you? You may just pull one up and say, this is easy for me and this is what I'm committed to do, or this feels satisfying. How will you incorporate the 4 laws to build healthy habits to create space for you? I see the answers coming up. So making it attractive and easy, find something that brings me joy and laughter to meet a goal. Fitness, instead of doing something that is difficult. Maybe find a dance class I can take. Yes, that's right. By the way, I dance salsa and bachata. Yes. Use different ways. Who says fitness is the only, who says going to the gym is the only way to make yourself fit? There are so many ways. Dance with music, with people you love. What a space you just created for yourself. Thank you. Okay, just take another 15 seconds. Maybe write down some key things you want to commit for yourself. Whether you want to share in the group or just keep it to yourself, it's all good. Just gonna read one more. So having a plan to do a certain activity like running every day for X minute for Y days, you don't have to think about it. You just do it. Love it. Thank you, Krista. Yes. Just do it. like you know, go. Don't think, don't overthink. The more you think about it, the more your writer brain might start to convince you, or maybe the elephant start to make excuses. Great. All right, so moving on to the next piece. Now I'd say one of the most challenging part of habit change is to make it last. So it's a time for sustainment strategies. And here are 3 questions I'd like you to reflect on. What are you saying yes or no to? Create a space you want in the next 7 days, starting now. And who or what can support you? Lastly, where can you embed learner's mindset in your day-to-day? Take a moment for yourself. Answer any question in any order that lands for you, that sparks your curiosity. While you guys are reflecting, just reading Monica's comment, this is really cool. Yeah, so Monica have made her yoga mat and a weight super accessible and visible in her place, as well as the app that she uses. And also, if it's just a 5 minute to stretch, at least doing 5 minutes rather than nothing helps. And it usually ends up doing more. Absolutely. Even just a minute. You just need to start. There's wisdom I heard somewhere says, start before you're ready. Start before you're ready. Go for it. All right, let's see some of the comments. So Jen's reflection. I also love, atomic habits. Every morning I put on my coffee and then do some stretching with a reward of coffee at the end, using the cue and reward. Absolutely, yes. You can reward yourself. It's your choice. Cindy says, a reminder that consistency is better than perfection. Setting aside that all or nothing mentality. Yes. Thanks, Cindy. Okay. So maybe 5 more seconds, write down any key things you want to remember for you to implement into your day, your life. Okay, so we're gonna flip to the next piece. So thank you for all your hard work. And this moment, I'd like to invite you to sit back just for a little bit and take a deep breath and let yourself to experience this short 5-chapter poem by Portia Nelson. Okay. The name of the poem is There is a Hole in My Sidewalk. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. All right, so let's take another moment. Share in the chat box or write on your own notepad. What stood out? What opened up for you while you were experiencing this poem? What stood out for you? What opened up for you? Chapter 6. I tell other women about the home. I love it. Yes, you create your chapter. Oh my goodness. That's it. I love it. You are your creator. So the unconscious become conscious. Yes, great. We have a choice. Yes, we definitely have a choice. So let's move on to the next piece. Is as we're getting close to the completion of this habit changing and space creating experience, let's do a quick review and a reflection on what we have co-created so far. So we've identified how your habits align or misalign with your space. We learned ways that you can shape and build new habits to honor your space while staying on purpose. And I want to say, really remember, like some of you already said it, you have a choice. So I want to say you are always at choice. You have a choice to shift mindset, build healthy habits, and see life through the lens of curiosity. You have a choice to create a space that matters most to you. You have a choice to enlarge or shrink the space for you or others. And you have a choice to love and to receive love. Lastly, you always have a choice to change your story and change your life. And not choosing is also a choice. So the choice is yours. What did you learn about yourself, your space, habits, mindsets? And this is the time just for you to reflect a little bit on your choice and what have you learned so far as we're close to the end. All right, so I see, I've been seeing this lately on the interwebs. Whatever you don't change, you choose. That's right. You have a choice. Not choosing is a choice too. It's entirely up to me, absolutely. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so now it leads to our last slide. I can't believe that we're going to say goodbye soon. And you know what? I'm going to change my wording. So I'm choosing this is not going to be a goodbye. It's going to be a see you later. And I'm inviting all of you to say yes to create a space that you want. And it'll be my honor to facilitate you on this magical space creation journey. And I want to say the new habit I challenge every single one of you right now is don't wait. Now is never too early nor too late. So first 10 participants in this room that are saying yes to create space with me will receive a 30-minute complimentary deep dive discovery coaching session. And feel free to follow me on LinkedIn and Instagram. All right, I see a lot of yeses here. Okay, so you got to email me. So capture, do a screenshot, or take a picture of the screen so you get my contact information. And send me an email, say, Helen, I'm saying yes to create space with you. And I'll reply and then connect with you afterwards. Okay, so before we transition to another space, I want to I'm really curious just for you to maybe type in the chat box the mood of your current space. How do you feel right now? The mood of your current space. Could it be emotion, temperature, color, or even taste? Does it taste spicy or sweet? All right, I see hopeful, empowered, positive, light, bright, pretty positive. Sweet, yes, I see a taste. Great. Give me more flavor. What temperature? Is this hot, warm, soothing? That's great. Oh my goodness. Thank you all. Thank you all for co-creating such a meaningful collective learning space with me and with all of you. Well, I wanted to say, as you transition to another space, I'm a big, I wanted to capture this memory. And if I may invite you just, for those who are open to it, turn on your video if we could take a selfie to capture this moment of time that we've made a declaration for each other to create space for the sake of aligning what matters most to us. Yes? Okay. You may bring to gallery view and turn on your video. I think I have a lot of you here. Just gonna take a few screenshots. If you give your best emotion, best space that embody your space, there you go. Embody the space you want to be in. However, expansive or playful. Let's do this. Okay, I'm gonna take one more shot. Woohoo! Great. Thank you all. Remember to love yourself more, and you're always our choice. And be curious.
Well, thank you so much, Helen, for taking us on this wonderful journey of curiosity, non-judgment, and growth.